Okay, we've gotten a chance to take a look at our two commentators, the two professionals who spend their time evaluating debates, at least, and I'm suggesting it's a way to look at seeing how we should evaluate arguments. The first one that we looked at was James J. Kilpatrick, the one that's right in front of you right now, called Bush on Points. And remember that he's trying to evaluate the presidential debates between the elder Bush, the elder George Bush, and one of his opponents, or his first opponent when he was running for election when he was the vice president, Michael Dukakis. Now, I suggested we want to take a look at this because we want to better understand the criteria for evaluating arguments. And in order to really understand what it is that the commentators are suggesting about these particular arguments, these particular sides of the debate, we really want to try to summarize the points and figure out exactly what it is that their position is on all of this. And in order to do that, in taking a look at this particular piece, what I want to suggest that you should do is the following. To evaluate it, the first thing that we want to do is figure out what is the conclusion. And don't just say, oh, gee, he's trying to figure out what the winner is. Tell me, what is his point? What is it that he wants you to believe about the debate that he's writing? And that's to write it simply in one sentence. What's the conclusion? You're going to find it's not so easy because I've done this in classes and people disagree as to what the ultimate conclusion he's getting at, and they adjust things as they look at it more closely. Now, once you figure out what you think that conclusion is, and you might have one or two candidates for that, the next thing I want you to do is summarize the points. And in summarizing the points, I don't want you to write everything that they have, but look, you should be able to get between, 4 and 10 points that are intended to lead you, that Kilpatrick is raising, that's supposed to lead you to his conclusion. That doesn't mean that everything that he's putting in this particular article, this particular piece, has to go into what you're summarizing. Remember, summarizing is condensing it, making it smaller. Just take the major points. You want to make it look like an outline. And once we've done that, ultimately the next step that we want to get to is we're going to consider whether his points are relevant or support the conclusion, because we're going to find out if some of them aren't, we're going to want to take them out. If others are, if he has some unstated assumptions, maybe we're going to want to put that in. So that's at least the approach that I want you to take. And what I want you to do now is I want you to go in, put your answers on paper for yourselves, and then go into Blackboard. I'm going to put up a discussion forum for you on both of these, Kilpatrick's and on Krauthammer's piece. And I want you to actually start just listing what your conclusion is and then what the summary of the points that he's making. So it's a little tough. Don't think you're going to sit down there and do this off the top of your head. Keep looking at this, going through it piece by piece. And remember, you're looking at something that takes up a whole page. We just want, at best, the best thing is if we could get this down to a half a dozen statements. So do this before you start the next segment.